Hey, Construct, how's it going? Hey, Toto. I'm so glad you caught me streaming. That's awesome. Hey, what's up, Michael? Hey, Flocky, how's it going? Thanks for checking out the stream. I am going to first, we're going to put together a new set of tables. Call it the daily encounter. Basically, a couple of tables fitting into this 5-year journal that I have. And then I will probably doodle on that. I've got this little art book that I've been happy to start filling out. And then I'm going to work on the next edition of my zine. So, got a full agenda. If I could just get YouTube chat to work, that would be grand. Michael, I'm one of your favorite YouTubers. Thank you so much. I do have a zine. And it's pretty cool. Here, let me get the... Let's get the overlay out of the way so you can see it. There it is. Right there. Okay, let's see. Maybe comments will work over here. Maybe chat will work on that screen. Well, I'm happy to tell you about it. Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know. Maybe YouTube will fix itself. It kind of the neat part about the idea is it sort of just emerged. It wasn't something that I expected to do. And it came out of this exact stream that we're diving into now. So I had this, it's called a Midori 5-year diary, and it was sitting on my shelf for probably a year, and I never had an idea that I was like, oh, that's a good enough idea, right? Like, I need, for a special notebook, you got to have a good idea for it. And it never came. And, you know, for a while there, I was like, I don't know what to do, and I'll figure that out. And then just kind of sporadically, sort of randomly did a stream where I said, I wonder if we could fit, sort of inspired by, who's that guy that made like, used a calendar to make like a dungeon. I was like, I wonder if we could fit an encounter into like a few lines. And so we started with one, and that was back in September. And then eventually kind of gathered up my favorite ones and, put those together in the couple of zines, and now I'm working on the next release, and hopefully I can figure out how to get them out more often. But yeah, the Midori books is really great, assuming you can get over the paralysis that I had and actually start using it. Tends to be pretty important. Whoa, Construct popping up over in TikTok chat. How strange. Yeah, I don't know what YouTube's about. You've been doing a digital magazine for the past few months. A lot of work, but fun. It is. Yeah. I would agree with that. So we're going to come up with, it's usually just two D8 tables. Eventually once we've figured it all out, I'll put it in here. But first I slather paint on the page in a wild and crazy way. with a dirty roller, because that's just how I roll. Let's see how these pair up. Construct your inevitable. Doesn't the bad guy say that? I feel like that's like a bad guy thing to say. Which tracks. Still, that works just fine. All right. Let that sucker dry. That's right. Doesn't mean. Okay, let me try one other thing with this chat that's acting up. Let's just see about something. Hey, look at that. Jackson and Thanos BBEG would be dope, actually. That we could aspire to something so cool. Okay. See you, Flocky. Good luck. All right. The chat crisis averted. Let us come up with something. At the 23rd. Left-hand side. That means we need D100 formed from the magic inside front cover. And I believe that would be, wait a minute, is that considered a, yeah, that's considered a 19, 10 and a 9. Why those are so seemingly helpful. Oh, I like that. Seemingly helpful. Seemingly helpful. There we go. Okay. Just like you. Hey, seemingly helpful does not mean it's not actually also helpful. Both can be true. All right. So seemingly helpful, you take it in a few different directions, as always, because these are fun little prompts. We could take it in the direction of, you know, a traitor, a turncoat. Jackson was my favorite non-D&D TTRPG. I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I have not got much experience with non-D&D TTRPGs. could do we could do seemingly helpful like NPCs in a small town, little character creation stuff about, hey, you know what, they try but they just can't quite do it. That could be charming. Maybe better. Maybe we could do with just a dose of creating some authentic characters. Seemingly quite helpful characters, but not actually. Seemingly helpful. I mean, it does really sound more like a traitor. Or I was gonna say magic items, but I've been making so many magic item things for the new zine. Seemingly helpful. They wanted this, but it turns out they actually were interested in they're friendly small town. Yeah, maybe we combine the ideas. Maybe it's a small town trader. A healer that steals 1 max HP for temporary. Or junk that a wizard pawns off on you. Toto, seemingly brave adventurers. All right, I got something. All right. They meant well, and the party appreciated the way they blank. Okay, they meant well. The party appreciated when they... So this is seemingly helpful so that they could... You know what? Yeah. You know what? They watched after the horses. That's something that I know my group historically has always needed, because they actually just stopped like renting or buying horses because they just kept let's just say losing them. Maybe a party can appreciate someone who's genuinely interested in them and is nice when they're forced to fight bad guys all the time. A good guy could be cool. Yeah. I try to put more kind of genuine good guys into my games more often, genuine NPCs. We'll see if that's where this list ends up. I can't, no promises. They meant well, and the party appreciated the way that they... So watching after the horses, maybe they like kept like their booth at the tavern for them, you know? Oh no, we need to go further with this. That the party appreciated the way that they ran the party fan club. Ran their fan club. Yes. Bit of a syndrome situation, maybe. Not necessarily, but maybe. Just maybe. They meant well, and the party appreciated the way they watched after their horses, the way they ran their fan club, the way they repaired their weapons and armor. Hey, Sluggish. Yeah. The way they... How about the way that they like scoured or searched for parts, maybe? Oh, and also, hi Data. How's it going? The way they scavenged for spare parts. Piloted the ship. The way they priced their goods. Ooh, the way... Okay, so how about like maybe they gave them... How about they gave them discounts? Write that one down too. Let's see. So we have watched after the horses. So that's a job or like a lackey. Ran their fan club, certainly. A bit of a scavenge for spare parts. Just a useful, could be on the road, could be in the wastelands or the desert. Gave the party discounts, some sort of a merchant. Oh, and the party appreciated the way that they looked the other way. Jackson gave them a free gift card of sorts to a specific merchant. Yeah. What's up? You get relevant, but will there be any crafting streams? Yeah, I do. It's been a while, but I do sometimes craft. I think there's a couple of things in painting that I want to do probably after I get this next zine out the door, which I'll be working on after we sort out this encounter. So close. I think I've finished all of the writing for the zine, so now I get to move into layout and illustration stuff, and then it's good to go. There is some crafting that I would like to do. Let them borrow the way they how about appreciated the way they shared or like passed along rumors. Armor, weapons, disguises. I'm going to say the way that they always shared rumors. Made a faction like them more, especially one they had been at odds with in the past. Hey, fish can. Let them stay at their cabin for the night. They meant well, and the party appreciated the way they watched after their horses, ran their fan clubs, scavenged for spare parts, gave the party discounts, looked the other way, always shared rumors. I feel like we've hit some really good ones. Kept them fed. The way they handled their enemies. You know what? Maybe we should have somebody in here. Like the way that they held their own. Something like that, the way that they like fought off, the way they defended the town. I kind of like that, the way they held their own. That's kind of nice. That's a good turn of phrase. We can take that in lots of ways. They meant well. Party appreciated the way. Maybe it's the way that they held to their values. Yeah. This sounds like such a lovely group of people that we've hypothetically created. Do we just go all the way, go completely heartfelt, or do we tear them to shreds? Do we destroy them? Is every one of them some form of turncoat, traitor, spy, horrible? Maybe they're somewhere in the middle. Maybe we can find a quirk, something maybe annoying or a flaw. Unintentionally, seemingly. They meant well. They did mean well. Yeah, we have to. They didn't want to, but they had. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to open the door. We're gonna have to open the door to. It's a damn shame. All right. They meant well, and the party appreciated the way they did all of these wonderful folksy things. Second sentence, second table. It was almost tragic when they decided to blank. It always works. It fits in every situation. So we'll put the first list out of our minds. And now we'll think about all of the terrible things that a character can do to the party. You know, the stuff that's like, ugh. They did what? It doesn't have to be horribly evil at all. It could be that they decided to start singing. Maybe that's the first one. It was almost tragic when they decided to start writing songs about the party. But yes, we do need to have. It was almost tragic when they decided to accept. Is it accept a bribe, or maybe it's just as simple as like hand the party over, trade their loyalty for gold. There we go. Explode, sleeper agents, abandoned. I mean, there are definitely things that they could do that wouldn't be treacherous, but maybe would be helping or like selling. Maybe they could sell goods to the like an enemy party, competing party. Oh. Move out of town. Leave town. Leave town why? What would they do? Go to work for like a competitor maybe? take up bounty hunting. Sell the well, we don't know if they would sell. How about sell everything and move? Reveal they were part of the super cool wizard club. I mean, they could just vote against the party or somehow work against them or just like not, disagree with them publicly. It's almost tragic when they decided to write songs about the party, trade their loyalty for gold, sell everything, and move. There's probably something else obnoxious they can do. I like the moving. I think that can give us some cool stuff to work with. How about lie about something? Maybe like, ooh, or they accuse the party. Falsely accuse the party. When they decided to die. When they snitched to the king. When they decided to die, were they part of they were in the Rogue One squadron or whatever? Help a rival group. How about maybe like join their rivals? Snitch to the king. Or, ooh. So what kind of crime could they commit? It's not against the party. Did they steal something? Did they lie about something? Maybe they... I mean, they could attack the guards. They could attack the crown. Maybe they've been radicalized, or in D&D terms, it's just a Tuesday. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna say attack the crown. What's up, Jesse? Oh, I'm always here. Jesse, what makes a group not like an NPC anymore? Oh, did you like that? Well, did you get to did you get to watch it? I don't know if you got to. I don't know if you got to watch it. You might not have seen that one. Trade their loyalty. Right, songs about the party. I mean, they could have. Maybe they switched the ale. Something about like bad taste. You watched it long enough. Fair enough. That's all right. More where that came from. Just an experiment, just like everything else. Ooh, okay. This NPC, they could pick up a new pet, some kind of really awful. What could they do? They could start raising like spiders if they disagree with the party, for sure. Hopeless betrayal. I'm trying to think like if they started fish, they tricked the party. Oh, I mean, certainly lying about something. If we had something specific that they lied to the party about, that could work. Bring back the dead. They start practicing dark magic. They poison the well. Dang. These NPCs took a dark turn. It's the most obnoxious pet that you could have in D&D. Not something cute like raising owlbears, then everybody's going to like them. Can't even raise a dragon, every party's going to like them. It's a tough call. Everybody makes every one of these monsters in D&D cute. I guess it could be something, some sort of ooze, some sort of... Could they domesticate a rust monster? Could that be a thing? That could be a thing. Sold them some faulty merchandise. Ooh, ooh, this could be, I don't know, people might have different opinions about this one. I'm going to say when they married into the Fae. Yeah, construct just trying something new. Fake magic items, domesticated rust monster to garbage dump. Nom 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 nom. Okay, so maybe it's just broadly speaking, they start to collect dangerous creatures. All right, let's roll a few. I like this one. I think this is going to be some fun little character something or others. 4 and 3. They met well, and the party appreciated the way they gave the party discounts. It was almost tragic when they decided to sell everything and move. Fits together perfectly. So, this becomes a quest. This becomes something to investigate because this would be a great turn for the party. Like, you know, this particular merchant's been there for years, loves the party, thinks they're great, you know, puts their names on the wall, gives them a discount, you know, super chummy, super great. The next party goes out to adventure, caves, gets involved in some stuff, comes back a few weeks later, and the person is gone. And maybe they left a note that is not, doesn't really sound like them. Maybe it's not even signed like them. And you know, I think that's an interesting question. That's an example of something that I would sort of seed that. I would place that open thread in the game to see if the party's like, wait, we got to go check up on this guy, or whether they just kind of shrug, go, okay, whatever. Because pulling on that thread, I mean, I think that the answers as to what happened would be really interesting to figure out. Could be really fun to sort out. Almost more so if they chose to leave of their own volition versus if they were sort of like, you know, charmed to do it. That'd be fun too, but fun to come up with a legit reason that they had to hightail it out of town. They meant well, and the party appreciated the way that they scavenged for spare parts. It was almost tragic when they decided to attack the crown. Okay, so we've got a junker that seemingly out of nowhere attacks the crown, and I think this would be, there'd be some sort of long-held grudge, and the junk itself, like the I feel like they're building themselves some kind of like a junker bot. I think this is a tinkerer, and they probably, that's the ticket. They fail spectacularly. They put together like, I can do this, I can build a thing, and they can't. It doesn't work. It's like in what was that show? The Robot Wars or whatever. It's one of those that goes out and just starts smoking and explodes. They don't even make it very far past the castle walls. And the party's in a bind. It's like, well, we like that guy. That guy helped us, but he did technically commit a treasonous act. You know, what do we do about that? I guess it depends what the party feels about the king. Fun fact, I was, I forget what the name of it was, but there was like a school level, like junior, like middle school version of Robot Wars that you could play in. I think it was like a Lego thing. Well, there was a Lego version of middle school, and then there was like a proper one in high school. I participated in both. Not very much in the high school one, because once I got to like shop class and stuff, like I said, I was never really into that kind of stuff at that point in time. Now I think it'd be pretty neat, but building Legos, I'm all about that. They meant well. The party appreciated the way they held to their values. It's almost tragic when they decided to write songs about the party. So they held to their values, which the party liked. So that puts them in probably, you know, maybe like an ousted priest, or you know, someone sort of holding down a value system that everybody else doesn't, but then it almost gets pathetic when it's like, wait, oh, you're writing music now, and their charisma score is like -3. just a awful bard. And it's like, well, what are you gonna do? You like this person, you don't want to crush their spirits, but what's up, Harry? But you almost don't want this bard going around telling stories about you, right? That could hurt the party's reputation. Six and five. They met well, and the party appreciated the way they always shared rumors with them. It was almost tragic when they decided to join their rivals. So they're a bit of a gossip. Maybe they run a town tabloid, sort of a Harriet the Spy type of thing. Maybe they're always posting stuff on the notice board and maybe slip a couple extra things to the party. But, party maybe takes them for granted. So maybe the next time they come to town, they're like, we don't have any for those. Sorry, I exclusively sell what I learn to the new Adventurers Guild or the new Bounty Club or the new such and such. There's somebody that's paying for my services now. Sorry. If you want to pony up a few gold or give me a cut of the next treasure you find, maybe we can talk. And maybe some of those rumors start to suggest the party is up to some stuff. I kind of like that. I kind of like the idea of a character that's a little sleuth cap on. Harry, what's my favorite puzzle? Ooh. I like hiding things in letters. 4 and 5. Can I use both of those? I can use 5 and 4. Switch it around. They met well, and the party appreciated the way they looked the other way. It was almost tragic when they decided to falsely accuse the party. Ooh. So this is like a town crier, or maybe like the sheriff. Ooh, this feels like the sheriff. This is like, okay, the party's involved in some stuff, or maybe some sort of, someone who works in service to the crown, and it's like, okay, they've always given us a pass. What happened? And then all of a sudden something happens, and that feels like how you find out that, like, oh, the sheriff's not on our side anymore. Like the sheriff is sided with the villain, or at least someone who's opposed to the party, and then they probably have to go on the run. That's the way that usually goes. 1 2 7 2 7 2 7 8. One and 8. They met well, and the party appreciated the way they watched after their horses. Nice. It was almost tragic when they decided to start collecting dangerous creatures. That fits pretty well. So they're an animal lover. There's so much the animal lover that they start to pick up exotic and out of the way, probably the type of creatures where it's like, okay, we can't keep saving your butt from like Fido and whatever you're trying to train. The rust monster is a bad idea. This sentient ooze, bad idea. And we don't trust you to watch the horses anymore. The sentient ooze swallowed one up the other day. So sorry, but gotta find somebody else. 2 2 7. Wow, 2 7 2 7. Got a 7 and 7 and 7. They met well, and the party appreciated the way they held their own. Tough one. It's almost tragic when they decided to marry into the Fae. Okay. I mean, that's always Hey, what's up, Rylan? That's always a little bit nerve-wracking, right? When somebody is, when all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, where do your allegiances lie then? I mean, especially there are some Fae that are not. It's high-risk relationship, I should say. This person holds their own. I mean, that level of confidence suggests that maybe they would marry an important, maybe it's a Fae court situation. It's like, well, this could be good, but also, got to be careful around these people now because haven't you heard they can steal names and can cast all sorts of weird nature magic. Yeah, my party would definitely be nervous about that. I think the last one must be the last one. Yeah, no rolls for here. They meant well. The party appreciated the way they ran their fan club. It was almost tragic when they decided to trade their loyalty for gold. Oh no. So the character in town running their fan club is the one who hands the party over to the villain for gold. I mean, if that's not syndrome, I don't know what is. That's basically a syndrome. We rolled up a syndrome. Terrible. Terrible. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. I appreciate the way well, this will be an interesting one to try to draw. I'm gonna have to pick something interesting here. I might even need to pull out the white marker. We'll see. Kind of feels like I could make maybe like a notice board. Open and closed hand. Maybe. Hey, Lucas. In a month, you'll be a dungeon master, but you don't know what to write. Any tips? Well, there's a lot of different words of wisdom out there, and to some extent, it probably matters exactly kind of what inspires you. But I would say what I've found to be helpful is to kind of obsess, think more and more and more about what that first session is going to be. The first session is the only thing that's real, right? You may play for 3 sessions, you may play for 30 or 300 sessions, but that first one is for sure. And so anything that you come up with, grand ideas about who the villain could be, or the ways that the party may adventure into the mountains or chase after dragons or visit other planes or whatever things you have in mind, maybe ground it all, find the interesting, fun idea that you want to do in that first session, and figure out how to make that as fun as you can. For me, for first sessions, I like, it's usually not as simple. It's usually a kind of a small stakes, fun kind of gimmick, something very approachable, something almost light. And it's something that's going to expand and connect to other stories later on. And if you've never run anything before, one-shots might be a good place to look. Starter adventures might be a good place to look. I might even try running a one-shot or 2 even before you start a campaign. I actually don't even know. Is a campaign the direction you're going, or is it just running the game for the first time? Something medieval. Medieval, if it inspires you, right? You can run D&D in sort of the traditional fantasy setting. You could run it in a modern setting. You could run it in a far-flung space setting. I mean, there's I think you have a lot of options. Is there anything in particular that has inspired you to want to be a dungeon master in the first place? Is there anything that you look at and say, hey, that's really awesome, I want to do something like that? And it's okay if the answer is no. I'm just asking to maybe start figuring out what you like. So we just came up with a couple of tables to roll on. They actually ended up being sort of character tables, and I'm kind of drawing a little bit of what we came up with, and then I'll write out like the tables and stuff that belong to it. So these are sort of doodling, sort of a notice board, sort of things hanging up on the wall, starting to kind of fill out what's on each of them a little bit. Yeah. I mean, the nice part is when you don't have anything really, there's no wrong choices, right? You're gonna learn a little bit with everything that you pick up, and it's probably gonna have a big impact on your game. Anything that you add like that. So, yeah, definitely. Thanks, Rylan. I appreciate that. And right on cue, there's a link to the zine. Should be popping up in the chat. See you, Rylan. To make a party like an NPC, it's always been a quirky thing. I remember your first NPC sacrifice that made the party squirm. True. So the way that I tend to think about it is kind of in the inverse. Like the party determines what is likable about a character. Like they'll tell us what they like. All that we can do is sort of like we have to provide enough NPCs that we're going to hit one every now and then. Because I would agree. It's basically you basically can't make anybody like a character unless they're just going to like give the party stuff or do something that doesn't feel very genuine. You know, that usually works, but. Hey, what's up, yo? New DM, been a player for a while. How do I make it feel like my players are affecting the world while also showing that the world is affecting and reacting to them? It's a good question. So, how do you make your players feel like they're affecting the world? So there are a couple of there are artificial ways to do that, and then there are genuine ways to do that. And the artificial, kind of the tricks and the things that you can do in the world to sort of suggest that the party's having an effect, like, maybe people start talking about them. Maybe there's, a fan club that starts up in their name. Maybe people want to join them. They have acolytes. They have, kind of people start recognizing them at different places they go. And that is sort of, it's something, but I don't think it's really getting to the heart of it. I would say that the way to make the players feel like they're affecting the world is to let them affect the world. So whatever you have in mind for them, whatever you're kind of putting in front of them, whatever the challenge is, make sure that whatever the players choose, there's a meaningful difference in the outcome. So it's not just that the party can choose to risk their lives and go into the depths and face the dragon that is that's affecting the dwarven minds. It's not just do that or don't do that. It's they could go in and do that, or they could flood the lower caves, driving the dragon out, but also destroying the mines, right? Make sure that they have options on the table that are going to like fundamentally change and allow them to have an impact in a way that might sometimes feel scary, you know. An example I'll use from a campaign that I've been running for a while is on an island, and the island has 3 factions, and each of those factions has a different goal for the island. You know, one of them wants to protect it, there's magic there. One of them wants to exploit it, maybe, you know, other ones wants to destroy it. And the campaign is leading, it's a short campaign, and I'm just kind of doing it as an experiment, but the point of it all is to lead the party to the point where they kind of get to decide on the fate. They kind of have to pick who they align with, and they can kind of decide on the fate of this place. And what they decide is actually gonna happen. You know, are they going to drive out 2 of the factions and keep it for themselves? Are they gonna destroy the place or secure it and hide it away from the world? Like, actually giving the party the latitude to change the world. That's how you make them feel like they're actually affecting it. Don't create a scenario where one way or the other they're going to save all the town elders that were captured. Let them fail. Let there be a possibility that they fail. Let them be a possibility that they say, you know what, these elders, they were making a deal with the vampire let them be taken. And then they have to go explain that to the town. Like, find, or at least build in ways in the story, make it loose enough that the party can have a real impact. And then they'll feel like it. They'll just naturally, through the course of play, feel like they're affecting things. Your other part of the question, how to show the world is reacting to them. Some of the outputs of what I just described, that'll just be the case, right? It'll come back around because they're actually changing things, and the world will react accordingly. But what you can be deliberate about is to try your best to have some enemies sometimes one way or the other get away. I've got some ideas on my channel in videos about how to help with that, how to bring back villains, right? How to make them, even if a villain falls, like that villain probably had a family member, an apprentice, you know, maybe they had a boss, somebody that's going to have a vengeance for the party and come after them. And they're going to feel like, wow, okay, the stuff, because we chose to do that, this happened. Give the party 3 or 4 places they can go, somewhere north, south, east, and west. They got to pick one of them. And the other 3 places that they don't choose to go quest, those problems are going to get worse, right? One of the first times that this really happened to me was when my party was like, yeah, we're going to go to the swamp. We're going to travel down to the swamp. Like, great. And I don't plan very far out in advance. So party tells me that, and I say, okay, so by next session, like we'll do that. They told me at the end of one session, I prepped for the beginning of the next session. And as they traveled down and they got to town and they went to the tavern, they started to kind of hear, oh, there's nasty people in this kind of swamp town, and there's a black dragon in the swamp. And they actually were like, let's go. Let's actually, we're not ready for this. We're going to go back. We're going to turn around. Which was funny. And I said, okay, well, just so you guys know, this is what I prepped for. So we're going to kind of, do some more travel encounters if that's the case, because that's, heading back to town. That's just how it goes. And as a result of that, by the time they came back around to that end of the world, the dragon had gotten bigger. The dragon, the swamp had sort of swallowed up the entire region, and things had gotten worse. So, keep track of not only what the party decides to do, but what they choose not to do. And it's not about punishing them. It's just trying to make it feel like a living world. And you don't have to manage 1,000 different pieces of data across a bunch of spreadsheets or something wild to do that. You just want to think every now and then, like, okay, well, what would have happened in that town? Okay, what would have happened over there, since the party, ignored the growing threat of the orc warlord and his gang of ruffians. It's like, well, I guess they probably took over that town. What's that town like now? And then just, find a way to slip that into a session, maybe. Ryan says the best way to feel like the players are involved is to make things hinge on them. If other players are waiting on your thing, you are now tangibly a part of it. For sure. Yep. That tracks too. Okay. Hey, Grug. Just confirmed the zines. Thanks for having a sneaky 5% off. Hey, I'm glad you found it. That was one of my favorite things to be able to do when putting that store up. That's awesome. I look forward to you getting them and let me know what you think. Thanks for the support. It means a lot. Speaking of zines, switch over here. Well, thanks. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna. I think I'll even be able to switch from writing to. I think I'll be able to do layout here pretty quickly. But I'm gonna go refresh my coffee. I'll be right back. All right, where are we? Let's see where we are. Book 3 and book 4. We left off under potions. Cool. All right. So the traveling merchant held up a potion. Held up a potion. Believe it or not, it's a wonder in a bottle. A scratched itch, small town nostalgia, a day of boredom, greed of the dragon, a starry night sky, the thrill of the chase, the sleep of death, battlefield bravery, it's you know I'm right in a bottle, tough as dirt, a little devil, thar she blows in a bottle. But careful, drink too much. I'm gonna say, but be careful. Drink too much and you'll regret it. You'll gain false memories, load away, be unable to move, grow gills and a tail, be wanted dead or alive. I mean, it's basically gain a wanted level, right? Become a wanted. Ouch. Known as a fugitive. Become a fugitive. Become a fugitive. How in the world can it do that? But hey, potions are powerful. You'll explode. You'll be penniless. You'll lose track of yourself. You'll become that which you hate. Hey, Nana, are the daily thing you're making going to go into a new book? Eventually. So right now, basically what I do is I treat all of that as sort of like inspiration, sort of a starting point, which is great because there's 30 of them a month, so that's a pretty good place to start from. And we've been going almost every day since September, so we've got tons of ideas. What I do then is I go back through all of them and say, okay, are there any like groups that have formed? And so far, the groups that I've found very quickly, like, okay, there are magic items, like that pops up a lot, so that becomes the next one. Or characters, like nefarious criminal characters, that popped up a lot, so that became a book. Other stuff, there's lore and there's factions and there's more monster encounters. Like as I find these groups of things, I'm sort of flagging those, and then I can consider them as a whole and say, okay, does this look like a well-rounded and interesting group of things? And then if that's the case, then I put them in here and start going in and sort of building them out a little bit more. So yeah, there's a good chance eventually that, except for the really sort of, sometimes I have just like an off day, Well, I appreciate that, Nana. There's the one is up in there right now, and hopefully this one will be up real soon. Lose track of yourself and become that which you hate kind of feels like the same thing. Hey, is it Steffe? Really dug your content on YouTube Shorts. Glad to find you here. Creative and great work. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. A fan on multiple platforms? What more can I ask for? Pronounce Steve. Thank you. I want to get it right. I'm terrible at guessing. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Steve. Be cast. How about be cast? Be cast into dreams. Be cast into dreams. We weren't all born with V's. That we would be so lucky. Back in the day, young ones who had to walk uphill both ways just to gather V's for the whole town. They weren't just growing out of the ground like we're... Be cast into dreams, amass a following, form a cult, join the horde, switch places with, be lost in, slip away into, summon. Join the horde. Have I seen Dottie's Lizard Man video where he takes Warhammer minis and makes an entire D&D monster manual out of them? I have not. Yo, if one of your players wants to play a 2014 version of the OG classes, but everyone else is playing the 2024 version, would the balance be thrown off? I don't think so. I bet you'll be fine. I wouldn't worry about it. If anything comes up, you can always adjust accordingly, but you probably won't notice any issues at all. Become that which you hate. Cast into dreams. And you'll join. Be careful, drink too much and you'll regret it. Drink too much. Gain false memories, float away, be unable to move, grow gills, become a fugitive, explode, be penniless, become, be cast. Slip away into dreams. Hey, Morton. Who is the merchant? Don't know. Could be a lot of different. It's sort of open-ended on purpose. This is for a set of tables in my zine. So the prompt is sort of intentionally open. Like lose. Do something with hope or fear, like losing hope or... Yeah, Morton, no problem. Thanks for asking. I will show you. So the idea, I've only released one set of these so far, but it's become like my favorite way to kind of brainstorm new ideas. So it's completely system agnostic. It actually would even work for just like creative writing. So the pack that I released on my site, you can get them digitally too, but there's 2 of them. They're themed around monsters, monster encounters, and sort of weird, mysterious events. And there's 10 in each. And the way that they work is, let's say we take this one. This is one with 3D12. They all have a very similar setup. There's basically kind of a Mad Lib statement on the left with the tables that support them. And then I put together some examples of stuff that I came up with. So since I've got the dice out anyway, you could use something like this kind of as a random encounter at the table. My favorite way to use them is to kind of do it ahead of time. Say like, okay, well, I want something to happen. In this case, unsettling sounds. It's like something is going to draw the party's attention in this town that they've just wandered into. And I don't really have any ideas for what, so let me roll and see what it says. So let's just roll and do one. So a 2, a 1, and a 5. So everyone stopped to listen to the sound of stomping hooves coming from the cellar. Turns out the sound was ultimately caused by screeching birds. So this is actually similar. I made a video recently. A couple of those came up, and it was sort of this idea of like crazed birds that were strong enough that they dragged a horse. I think in that example, it was down into the well. In this case, it could be down into the cellar. But since I used that idea before, I would now I look at that and say, okay, well, I don't know if you ever saw Annihilation. This kind of reminds me of the creature in that could like imitate things. Like I'm sort of now imagining these birds that can imitate all sorts of stuff. Like they're mimicry creatures, and maybe they use that to try to draw people in. So they're down in the cellar in this case, trying to draw people to the door so that they can sort of, grab them and yank them in. It's like, okay, that's not a bad idea. Let's roll another one. 11 and 10 and a 3. Everyone stopped to listen to the sound of trees splitting coming from the next town over. Turns out the sound was ultimately caused by a hulking beast. That idea fits together pretty well. So, maybe the town, in this case, I would probably treat it as like the town that the party is going to. Everybody sort of gathered and is sort of watching in the distance as they can see these kind of trees being pulled apart. And like, wow, somebody should really go help them. Yeah, somebody should. I mean, we're not going to. Screw those guys, right? We've always been a fan of the north side of the river. That's where we want to be. And so I like to use it for kind of idea generation like that. This one's, like I said, all monster focused. There's 10 in this one, and then 10 strange encounters. You can see if you check my page, every couple of videos, I'll grab one of my books here and just roll on one of them and see what we come up with. And it's been a fun way to sort of use my own zine to make videos with, which has been really neat. And that's been pretty much how it's been going. That's how I use them. Hey, what's up, Boop? What's up, Wish? Back over here. Morton, pretty cool. You check it out. Well, hey, thanks. If you have any other questions about it, just let me know. Like I said, the two that are on my store right now are monster and weird encounter focused, and these two that I'm working on are magic item and character focused. And then from there, I've got like a bunch of these planned out, because we do these kind of actually we just did one earlier, and I finished some doodling for it right here. So not that guy, we liked that guy. This is a couple of tables we came up with around small town NPC creation. Somebody who the party likes, but then they do something that makes them not really like them very much. This, maybe in a couple months, will get wrapped up into some sort of a character kind of creation type of book. Maybe. Basically, I use these as inspiration and then try to like develop them into bigger tables that do a little bit more. So yeah. Oh, Wish, you're totally fine. Boot pay for a new DM. What would you suggest them to buy? What are you talking about? Buy my zine, of course. No, I mean, for a new DM, the most important stuff is going to be sort of your basic books. You need to be knowledgeable about the game that you're running. I wouldn't worry about the Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster Manual, Player's Handbook. These are going to be the vital ones. Outside of that, I mean, I guess keep it cheap, keep it easy, you know? You don't have to jump into miniatures and terrain and stuff like that. Some of my favorite sessions ever were drawn maps on pieces of paper. Though I would suggest using craft paper or like the back of wrapping paper, because then you can just sort of save it and keep it. And I used those dry erase kind of mats in the past, but I was never a huge fan of them because they then you don't get to keep them, right? I like to keep them. How long have I been building terrain? I started messing around with terrain about a year in. So for about a year and a half, I didn't touch any of it. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll try to make a couple things. And then Black Magic Craft was my that was my terrain building school. So I'd recommend his channel a bunch. Be right back and we'll finish up these tables. Just a minute. 2 and 12. Yeah, I stream every day that I can. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out, but try to be here most days. Okay. 12 and 5. Yeah. Yeah, that one got a bunch of fun discussion. There she blows and become a fugitive. 11 and 10. Devil in a bottle. 10 raw thunderstorms. Greed of the dragon. Touch with mortality. Six. Huh. All right. The traveling merchant held up a potion. Believe it or not, it's Thar She Blows in a bottle, but be careful. Drink too much. You'll become a fugitive. No Twitch stream? Oh, should be a Twitch stream. Let me see here. There I am on Twitch. I have the same username everywhere, so Right now, I am streaming YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. So that's what we small, tiny streamers have to do. Just stream everywhere, wherever people. I go where the people are. That's what I do. And I got an email from Kick the other day, so maybe I'll set one up there too. Might as well. I'm already multi-streaming multiple places. Yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past I don't know, couple weeks. It's not been that long, but it's been really neat. There's been a lot of people. I mean, every platform is different, right? So people kind of speed through, especially on like Instagram and TikTok. People kind of, drop in, drop out, whatever. But it's more about like being present. The biggest advantage that I have is that I have so many things that I do pretty consistently, like every day on stream. And so for me, it's almost just like kind of just being there. Morton, it pays off though. Drew you in. There you go. See, I'm like a bad penny. Just can't get rid of me. Can't avoid me. I really do wish Instagram had better. Instagram's really the only one that doesn't really offer any sort of integration at all with any of their stuff. So like that's the part that's a little bit clunky still, whereas everything else, TikTok is hit or miss, but at least I can kind of pull in TikTok into the kind of group universal chat thing, but Instagram is just its own little place. Maybe that'll change someday. Well, who knows? You might think explosions. What's up, musical boy? Thanks for the fiver. You ran an encounter recently for your party where the monster reversed the AC rules. It had an AC of 20 and players needed to roll under the AC to hit it. See, I think that kind of thing is fun. I think that kind of stuff. I don't know why. I posted that video the other day about kind of changing things up. Attacking differently, attacking character sheets, and sort of. I've made videos about like break the rules and things like that. I just think that we've got all these tools on the table. Let's play with them, right? Like, let's see what we can do with them, and at the end of the day, it's one encounter, right? It's like one thing. Plus, magic and monsters and the world that you explore, that the party explores, this is how we make it feel dangerous and weird, right? So I don't really care for things like what's it called, like scoring encounters and trying to like overbalance things. It's like, It was actually the short about attacking the character sheet that inspired you to run that monster. That's awesome. Then it was worth it. Very cool. Was it a fun encounter? Did your party enjoy it? Did you enjoy running it? Wish, do you think your audience is more DMs or players? Do you recommend DMs sharing the behind the curtain to their players? I would, if I had to guess, I've never really run a poll or anything like that, but if I had to guess, it's primarily dungeon masters, or at least aspiring dungeon masters, like people who appreciate the game beyond in a creative manner. I think that's probably like, I probably over-index in that. But in terms of sharing like behind the curtain, personally, I don't. I'm pretty tight-lipped with my players about like behind the scenes stuff. I tell them that like, and I'm not even sure that I'll hold to this, but I'm like, yeah, maybe like after the campaign's done, we can do like a, what kind of question. I'm really hesitant to ever, and I think I put this in a video once or twice before, I'm really hesitant to ever like speak true things about the world. Like I don't like there to, because like, as dungeon masters, like we're like the ultimate authority. So if we say something is true, it doesn't matter what they thought, doesn't matter what their characters thought. And misunderstandings and hearsay and, well, that's true according to that character, like that feels a lot truer, than me just telling people, oh yeah, well the thing is that, well, originally it was, the person who was going to betray you guys was going to be like the king's brother, but then, that you guys didn't seem interested in them. So I just changed that story to be this other. As soon as I start explaining that kind of stuff, I feel like it sort of takes away the energy. It takes away some of the magic at the table. So I don't do that kind of stuff. Oh, it was amazing. Gave the monster negative modifiers to attack when I rolled an attack against one of the players. I asked, does that miss? So you could pull the switcheroo on them. That's great. And it's it probably like took them a second to like, wait, does it miss? Like, what are you asking? What's happening? But that's great, right? That's the mechanics are helping to simulate the confusion that the characters are feeling. I don't know if you guys have ever thought too hard about this. It's not super important, but it's kind of fun to think about every now and then. Like, what is a hit point? Like, what do hit points actually represent? Because, if it's actually damage that you're taking, well, the players are typically just as strong at one hit point as they are at 100% of their health. So it's not that. Is it their ability to sort of miss, and dodge and not take damage, and then eventually they run out of that stamina, kind of. And really, the answer is like, well, we just don't think about it that much. It's representative of an idea. It's vague and it works, and we're good with it. And when it comes to like sometimes how we describe things, the stats themselves, how combat is happening, sometimes I view it in the same sort of way where it's like, we're representing something that the actual reality of how it plays out at the table, like there's just a little bit of misalignment there, and there has to be, right? Because half the time people are sitting around talking about what they're going to do next. So obviously that's not happening down there. That we are representing the strategy that's playing out in the characters' heads, but we're just talking it through. And so in a similar way to like change things up, and like your example is great. Did this attack miss? it's one of those kind of rare examples where the confusion that the mechanics and the back and forth during combat is allowing the player to feel the confusion that is somehow present in the game world. Somehow the characters are like looking at a monster and going, why is it acting that way? And they're feeling thrown off and they're feeling kind of, you know, on their heels. And I love that kind of stuff because it's not perfect. It's messy, but it's messy in, I think, the right sort of way. And I like that vibe. First player to attack during the combat rolled a 26 and a 30 to hit the creature. So when I said, yeah, the attacks hit and glanced straight off of it, they were like, what are we fighting? Yeah. And I think you could even make a case for that if they're willing to, if somebody's willing to like sort of stick their neck out and say, I'm going to intentionally miss them on, like if they are willing to do that, like I might even let them hit without a roll. Like I might just let that happen where they're like, okay, somebody else is like, oh, did that work? I tossed my sword on the ground. It's like, oh, you that counts as a critical hit. That kind of stuff is just fun. One of your players has the ability to fly, so he picked up one of the party members to intentionally give himself disadvantage against the monster. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to like actually sort of require the rolls to hit. That's a fair way to do it. But since you can probably, I guess, it hardly ever comes up, but it's like, can't you just like miss on purpose? Or sometimes this will come up with like saving throws where like really advanced players, and I say advanced in like a good way, not in the like, they've been playing since the 70s and they're kind of a bore at the table. Like the really good version of an advanced player who will be like, hey, my character is going to fail this. Like, I'm not even going to roll. My character fails this. Like, that's a, cool type of moment anytime that happens. It's rare, but it does happen sometimes. The player that rolled a 26 and 30 was the same player who gave himself disadvantage. His rolls are also insanely high for some reason, like a reverse Will Wheaton. I get that reference. There aren't that many actual play references that I get, but I do get that one. It's been a long time, though. That was AC Inc. Acquisitions Incorporated. I think that's where I primarily saw Will Wheaton play. I'm sure he's played at other tables, but that's the one that I remember. It's the thrill of the chase in a bottle, but be careful. traveling merchant held up a potion. Believe it or not, it's a starry night sky in a bottle. But be careful, drink too much and you'll gain false memories. Starry night sky, starry night sky. Someone about dreams in the stars. Yeah, I'm thinking about peering into the thing that made your players realize just how bad the reverse AC was on this monster was when it rolled a nat 1 on its attack and did crit damage to the party's rogue. Use the Perkins crit rule. It's awesome. Yeah, especially because, especially being able to, well, I mean, yeah, I guess, I mean, it doesn't really change the nature of critical hits at all. That stays the same. It's the it makes it a lot harder to hit depending on what level they're at. It'd be interesting to experiment with that with a recurring monster. So something that happens at like a monster that shows up in the first adventure or two to like change things up and really make them like kind of freaked out by venturing out into the wild, and then bring it back later when it would actually, even the same monster would probably be a lot harder once they're more capable, right? Once they're having an easier time hitting things, it's like, oh great. It sort of scales automatically, maybe. I'll have to try that out sometime. Appreciate the idea. What does small town nostalgia give you? Boy, charisma, folksy wisdom. Dream spell that allows the caster to appear and help other people in their dream. Can't wait to try it. I love that. One of my biggest regrets. There was a campaign that it was a few people and it started up, but it was at a tricky time and it didn't carry on. But one of the I liked all of the character concepts, but the one that was my favorite was I'd worked on this idea with a player who wanted to play a type of cleric, I think. I think, a type of cleric, but like a death cleric, like a pretty dark character. And we'd kind of put together this idea that which was going to be a tall order on my part. I mean, you guys will know as I describe this, but basically would allow them to, oh yeah, that was right. It was for a high cost. They could basically touch a corpse and relive that corpse's sort of like final few moments. So like basically play out their death. And it was only like a 3-person group. So my thought was that I would basically have a few of these kind of always at the ready, so that if they did that, then they would basically, they would each kind of get stat blocks, and basically the other 2 would play enemies, and they would, and, we'd all sort of attack them, and they would gain knowledge about the scene and what happened in this past character. And the way to balance that out, because obviously you can't do that with every single character that you run into, the way that I balance that out is that doing so would actually put them at 0. Like it would basically kill them. So they would have to be revived by somebody in their party every time that they use this ability. So it was like a really like high risk, high reward, but what an interesting way to like learn about the world and events that took place. So I was bummed that we didn't get to explore that. I'll have to try that again at some point. Hi, Crane. How are you, buddy? You hang out back there. Back there. Would it be only in their minds, or like spirits moving in front of their eyes? No, I was gonna. We're gonna play it basically like they sort of traveled back to that time. So the big advantage would be in sort of like, investigations and seeking clues to like see, depending on the corpse, depending on how old it was, right? Potentially see the castle here before it fell to ruin, right? See the last battle, or what have you. And at least by sort of anchoring it to the cleric like needing to die in order to gain that knowledge, I was pretty sure that it wasn't going to pop up probably even every session, right? Every few sessions at the most, which seemed reasonable enough for such a cool idea. Your birthday, you created yourself as a monster encounter. Omniscient avatar of myself, simply called the Master. Well, hopefully they didn't enjoy putting your monster self down too much. Hopefully they at least pretended to be like, oh no, not our dungeon master. We could never. And then it's a day of boredom in a bottle. Be careful. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Why not? It's really fun meta stuff with your players' characters. One of my players also co-DMs a few side stories, so his DM character has snuck into my world. Fun. Almost like a West Marches type thing. You guys are all kind of up in each other's worlds. Oh, let me smack away. Be gone. It's cool. Hey, what's up, Parade? Been forever since you hopped in here. It's good to see you. How's it been going with the new projects? Any new releases? So I am finishing up the writing portion, like literally right now, for this next zine. So then I'll be moving on to the illustration portion, which will be a ton of fun. So yeah, hopefully in the next few days I'll have this one available. We'll see. Yeah, I'm excited. Excited for it. How about you, Parade? Anything new with you? Getting engaged soon? Well, that's exciting. Congrats. Oh, parade. You'll appreciate it. Shuffle things around on my desk here. Started expanding on what the daily encounter streams are like. Made this one earlier. Made that one yesterday. It's been fun. I've been practicing some encounter illustrations. So that's been new too. Thanks. It's been fun. I don't know exactly. I was like, I don't really know why I'm doing it. But then after doing it for a while, I'm like, oh, I should start. I can use these in videos and stuff. So that's what I started doing today. So we'll see how that goes. Try it out for a little while. Okay, so I have a few of these guys. Wish, no, actually, a lot of there's like I still kind of don't know what to call it. Like I kind of bounce back and forth. The weirdest thing to me is that the first gaming product that I really put out there has included like my artwork. Like I'm still not very comfortable with it. It's part of the reason I practice and do it on stream, sort of practicing what I preach. Do it 100 times and it'll get better. I still kind of refer to it most of the time as like a doodling, and it's not like, it doesn't feel, but it kind of goes hand in hand with, I didn't really craft anything before D&D. I never really painted, certainly didn't draw and make stuff out of clay, and like all this stuff kind of came together in these past few years. And I dabbled here or there over the years, but never seriously. And I never felt like I could call myself an artist. And I only really feel that way, really very recently. Most of my life I've been in more like technical areas. And so I never really felt like welcome to call myself an artist. And, so that's been a process, becoming more and more comfortable with that idea. And, feeling sort of allowed to think and speak of myself that way. Good, hardworking, and dishonest. Have I ever worked on collaborative creative projects or pursuits? Yes. Yeah. I've always kind of been my role, professionally and otherwise, has always kind of been the, how would you call it? Like the most approachable nerdy tech person. I'm the most, real artists don't mind working with me, that type of vibe. But I've never fully felt accepted. But I enjoy. I really love collaborative stuff. I really love working with. I think that's partly why I like D&D so much, is because it's a collaborative thing every session. And I think it's why I like streaming, right? Like obviously it's not exactly the same as truly collaborating and stuff like that, but it's a little bit of it, right? It's it's why I'm so, maybe part of why I'm so comfortable with just like showing you guys all my rough work all the time, for what that's worth. Okay, so we have the rolls. Don't know what the rolls are. 2, 8, and 5. $11. I think it's a misconception. Yeah, wish. I tend to agree. I think so. My what really helped for me was I don't know. This gets a little bit in the weeds, technical or whatever, but in kind of my field, I got really interested in user experience. So it's research and it's design. It's like applied design. There's basically a way to sort of play in that space without being the one who's actually like sitting down and making sort of, you know, these creating everything yourself. And on a long enough timeline, I think a lot of these disciplines will merge, right? It'll be the same way that, oh gosh, I'm not going to be able to draw a good parallel here, but a lot of these things, multidisciplinary approaches are going to be the way of things. Like it used to be the case that you could sort of have a hyper specific skill set and only do that one thing, and other people would fill in the gaps. And I think that'll be less and less, you know, the way. Just because I think that's just the way it goes. That's just what happens. Sure. Yeah. It's over. Oh, God. Enabling both up-and-coming entrepreneurs and creatives in a collaborative way, innovating creativity. Nice. Yeah. I do think that I was I was sort of done dirty a little bit by, you know, growing up where I did in the Midwest, which you know, when it comes to new ideas, or at least when it comes to, you know, its approach to people with new ideas, you know, how's it go? It's like you know, people on the West Coast will throw any amount of money at you if you know, can demo an idea. People on the East Coast, if you can provide spreadsheets and financials, then you can get. In the Midwest, people have to see 2 or 3 other people doing it first before they'll accept your new idea. And to some extent that sort of outdated, the sort of the outdated view. When I was growing up, when I was in kind of high school and college, there were plenty of opportunities for sort of entrepreneurial kids, to pursue their ideas, businesses, whatever else. But the mindset was so weird. Like it didn't have the resources and what I wish had been a lot more understood and accepted. Like, how do I put this? I wish that back then, when I was interested in that stuff, there were more people saying, like, listen, it's, family businesses are, like, just because you start something doesn't mean you have to start it with the intention to sell it. Like, if you love something and you start something, you should just build and have that thing. Like, you can, build something for yourself. And I think a lot of the weird advice for young people trying to do this stuff is always these kind of lofty, silly, and it's probably not everywhere. It certainly was in the Midwest, though. Yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing, like yeah, it was a unique experience. I guess that's what I'll say. I'm happy to. Hey, look, it only took me 20 years to figure any of that stuff out, right? And time will tell if I did. We'll see how this stuff goes, but it feels pretty good. Well, and yeah, lofty and set ideas help to inspire huge initiatives, 20 years down the road. Well, I think that I think that in sort of a maybe a probably I don't think anybody was bad faith. I think they all meant well, but it's certainly the sort of instructors, teachers, coaches, advisors, anybody that was floating around, at least where I grew up, had maybe some correct words to use, but not any idea how to. There's a starting your own business. It's almost like, and this is now I'm speaking out of what do I know, but the vibe that I've always gotten is that when people get really excited that their kids are into sports, or when kids get excited because they're into sports, and they're like, oh, I'm going to play professionally one day. It's like, probably not. But if you really like that sport, then there are lots of things you can do that are in that field. And you should probably start thinking about that now, because it's basically winning the lottery. What are the odds that you're going to be one of the few? And that shouldn't be that's not ruining somebody's dreams. That's sort of pointing out how to choose an accessible, available dream, and how to be smart about it. And I think when it comes to young people starting businesses, it's you're not going to sell it you're not going to build and 10x your look. Find your niche, find something that you can do every day and love it. And especially nowadays, especially now more so than even 20 years ago, but a little bit then, but it's with social media and with all this stuff, it's find your niche, find your community, build something. Especially when you're young, it's you have nothing but time to do that kind of stuff. And shooting for the stars is a little bit silly. You should be shooting for shooting for something that you can grow. I remember when I realized that I had sort of missed out. I can remember distinctly, because I'm such an old man. What's up, cats? I can remember having a website back when, you know, AdSense wasn't that old, and trying it and being like, ugh, it's 6 cents, who cares? But then other people had saw that and said, well, it was 6 cents last month and then 12 cents the month after that. Let me see if this can keep going. And I think that's, you know, I mean, who wants to create for the sake of advertising necessarily? But that was a method that worked for a whole bunch of people, and they were able to build something because they had patience and they built it over time. And, you know, that's clearly something I believe in now. But the narrative around success stories is often quite the opposite. It's true. Well, the crazy outlandish stories. Look, I mean, it's tough for me because, you know, I'm the one like, well, look, my counterbalance is being on stream, because I was going to say my content will paint, you know, a really rosy picture of like, wow, be a DM like that, do all these things. Like, half of these ideas that I'm sharing are just ideas that I have. It doesn't mean that I've actually executed them at the table or the way that I show them off. This is clearly aspirational content. My hope is that, like, by streaming and making these other types of stuff that I do, I ground that out with like, hey, this is the grind, right? That kind of stuff is really fun and exciting and inspirational. I hope it is. But then you got to sit down and like start putting those ideas together and crafting something and making some props. And this is what it's like to be a DM and make this stuff. Gotta balance that stuff out. It's kind of like, you know, if you want to be an entrepreneur at a young age, it's like somewhere in between entrepreneurial advice and like finding an apprenticeship, right? It's like, find somebody who you can learn from and kind of start to kind of take some tips from, I guess. Sense. Bookish couple in a bookstore. What's up, Rat Milk? Thanks for checking out the stream over on TikTok. Any tips for setting up rooms and maps? Currently homebrewing a DM for your first time. Well, I would say that the sooner in your time as a dungeon master you sit down with some paper and a marker and start drawing some stuff up, I think you'll be happy you did. The sooner the better. Because no matter where you go, like, remember what kind of stuff you do, whether you want to make dungeon tiles and set something up physically, or you do stuff digitally and you're doing maps there, like actually kind of drawing spaces out and getting a sense for it now, like you're always going to benefit from doing that. So I would just start sketching something, or you know, get some wrapping paper. The reverse side of that is usually gridded. Grab a Sharpie and start boxing out some spaces. There, you know what? And actually, there is so I saw somebody had I saw a reel or a TikTok about this recently. What was it called? And this could be a good source of inspiration. Yeah, noclip.website. Check this out. It's pretty neat. It's a pretty neat website that somebody put together that is got a whole bunch of basically video game level assets loaded in a no clip format, so you can just sort of like zoom around. So you could load up like levels in, you know, Warcraft or Halo, Dark Souls. They've got a bunch of games in here, and you can just sort of check it out and maybe take some inspiration from that. I haven't done it myself, but I saw a video about it, and it's like, okay, that's pretty neat. So maybe that too. The other thing I'd say about building out maps and locations and rooms is to think about, not too literally, but in terms of like grounding yourself in, this was a location that was used for a purpose, right? Was this a monastery? Then there are going to be rooms, and there's going to be sort of a library, and there's going to be sort of a hall for, you know, meditation or something like that, maybe a courtyard. If this place is a guardhouse, then they're going to have probably a room for contraband. They're going to have a place with cots for the guards for changing shifts. They're going to have a jail cell. They're going to have a lookout tower. Even if then you say, and this is the ruined version of that, or the one that's been burned down or whatever, now it's infested by ghosts, underneath all of that, it still served a purpose. And maybe some of those purposes, it's like, well, it used to be that there was a watchtower at the top, a ladder that went up for actually like scouting people coming from. Now that's where an archer ghost can see and is sort of like, maybe it's even sniping people from a distance with like ethereal arrows or something, right? Like take those. I have a video on my channel called 2-story dungeons, I think. Is that what I called it? Let me pull it up, because it might do a better job of explaining what I am talking about. I don't have the link on TikTok, but I'll find the link that works for YouTube. 2-story dungeons. Man, why do I make so many videos? Hold on. I know it's back here somewhere. First month. Here it goes. Two-story dungeons. Share. Give me the thing. There. Basically, the premise is that every dungeon has 2 versions or 2 stories, like what it used to be and what it is now. And sometimes thinking about that really helps to frame out a place, frame out a location. Here it is for the YouTube folks. That's the video linked up. Actually, I guess I don't know, maybe it came through or not. There it is. That's what it is. One of my favorite videos I've made in a while. Forging, where was I? Overly polite shut-in. Brewery. Six. Hey, no problem. Let me know. Feel free to come back. I'm here most days. We also have a Discord. Let's see if I can scroll up and grab it. I don't know. It's in here. But yeah, definitely come back around anytime. If you have other questions or thoughts about the game, I love talking about this stuff. Yep. Yeah, it's a good point. Parade for sure. Nobody would have suspected the family of busybodies who run the family of busybodies who runs this hole in the wall, this armorer's forge, of using it as a front for predicting the future. Okay. How many platforms am I streaming on now? 4. So I am on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. I'm everywhere. Yeah, that's true. In the walls, I was also, I think I described myself earlier as a bad penny that you can't get rid of. So, yeah, you can pick your metaphor, I guess. Nobody would have suspected the generous noble who runs this mortuary of using it as a front for blackmailing nobles. Well, that. Yeah, I would add to that wish. That's a good point. If you find something that fulfills you, speak proudly about it, because you never know if it can inspire people. In addition, you're going to need to speak about what you care about until you are sick of it. I think that, one of the things that people get in their heads about and overthink is that, like, well, I can't, I don't want to post too often, or I don't want to promote myself again, or I don't want to talk about this again. Like, people get annoyed, and it's like, it takes so much work to be like oversaturating, an audience. Like, you need to, almost everything that you produce online, or every situation you're in, you're going to be talking to somebody who's probably not at all familiar, has no idea who you are, and you're going to have to make the pitch again, and you're going to have to explain it again, and you're going to have to, do it again and again and again. Just keep showing up, keep doing it, to the point that you feel like, you can't possibly pitch yourself again and then keep doing it. I think people get almost like tired of themselves and hearing it again and again. It's like, you got to do it. You just have to do it. Nobody would have suspected the outgoing animal lover who runs this carriage service of using it as a front for smuggling relics. Hey, at least, I mean, that's a unique job, right? You know, I don't think I've ever known another chimney sweep. Yeah, Wish, good point. Good point. I think that part of, you know, one of those, I think, hallmarks of like feeling grown up is to finally realize like, oh, actually having things that you're passionate about and sharing it with people is awesome. And if they don't appreciate that, then that sucks for them. That's not actually embarrassing. To be vulnerable and share with people what you love, what you care about is a good thing. Nobody would have suspected the shop owner, the outgoing animal lover who runs this carriage service, from using it as a front for smuggling relics. Nobody would have suspected the overachieving student who runs this cartographer studio, using it as a front, planning a heist. Nobody would have suspected the award-winning hunter who runs this flower shop of using it as a front for dark magic lessons. Nobody would have suspected the apathetic hippie who runs this cobbler's cart of using it as a front for a Fey prison. What's his motive? Yeah, sure. But I mean, that's a. Hey, look, I only got a couple of lines here with any one of these to type up, and I can only take us so far. So goofy. Nobody would have suspected the skeptical retiree who runs this pastry shop of using it as a front for blackmailing nobles. We already used blackmailing nobles. 2. 3, maybe 3. He's using it as a front for paying hitmen. Yes. What's the idea behind these little texts? These are hooks. These are the in the layout. So the layout that I use for these is the prompt goes on the left with the tables underneath. And then the right-hand page, I have some example roles typed up. And so the idea is just to kind of show like, well, based on the roles that I did, here are some ideas to kind of show you like a way. That's kind of the idea. There's some stuff on the page that's like, oh, there's some, I'll do a bunch of writing like this. And then when I go to place it, I'll pick my favorite few. And usually I have to like rewrite them and write them to get as many to fit as I can. And that becomes the layout for one of these ideas. So these example roles are just stuff I'm throwing at the wall, and then I'll pick the ones that I like the most or the ones that I hate the least. And it's also a way for me to stress test the combinations a little bit and make sure there's nothing that's like too unworkable. So it's not about explaining, more about giving context. It's just about giving some examples. Yeah. So if as you're looking at and starting to roll these and go like, well, how do I, like, you can kind of look at the examples that I put on the page and say, okay, well, this is Ryan rolled a 6, a 5, and a 4, and based on those ideas came up with whatever. And so that's all it really is. Kind of trying to demonstrate how to use the book, because it is a little bit of a kind of a, I don't want to say complex, but a high concept kind of way to use random tables, because there's sort of a system to it, you know. Nobody would have suspected the bookish couple who runs a bookstore of using it as a front for trading in royal secrets. Well, that fits together a little bit too well. Maybe I need to change bookstore. See, this is why I do the rolls. Parchment. They sell parchment. Or we leave a bookstore. We call them a. Let's find another one. Let's find a better word. Let's find a better word. Not a better word, another word. A learned couple. Erudite. Studious. Academic. We'll call them academic. That works. Nobody would have suspected the overly polite shut-in who runs this brewery of using it as a front for forging contracts. That's another one down. I think. So I have to write up examples for 4 more of these. I think there's a very good chance that tomorrow I start laying this stuff out. I was hoping to today, but got caught up with other stuff. So didn't get started here until late. So maybe we can get a good one, good early one tomorrow. Hey, I appreciate that, Parade. Catch you next time. I'm off too. Until we all meet again. Thanks for hanging out, Wish, Parade, everybody else lurking on all the different, all the different places. We will catch you guys again next time. See ya.